As you all know, this program is designed to help you as you start your journey as Northwestern student athletes. So I hope you found value in these programs and that you find value in this evening. Now I'm going to ask of you three things for this evening. I want to finish this series of programs on a high note, okay? So I'm going to ask you to be respectful. I'm going to ask that you participate, all right? I know. And I'm going to ask that you bring your energy. I'm functioning on 3 hours of sleep. For those of you who know me, I don't do well on not a lot of sleep. But I'm here and I'm excited to be with you all tonight. So please make sure you do those three things. Sound good?
Yeah.
Rough start. All right. Turn it on. All right, so I'm going to run through the agenda. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Maria Sanchez. I'm the Associate AD for Academic Services and Student Development and Diversity and Inclusion. Okay? What we're going to do is we're going to spend some time. You saw the Ed Never Comes Off and then campus resources. We're going to dive into some case studies. And then in that process and through that journey, we're going to talk about some really important both department and campus resources. Okay? But before we do that, oh, and 825 shuttle. Save yourself your money. No Ubering tonight. Catch a shuttle. All of you at once. Everybody in one. All right? Okay, so as we get started, here's where the participation begins. And that energy and respect. All right? As we think about the concept, the end never comes off, I am certain most of you have heard that before. So talk to me about what that means to you. What does it mean?
It basically means like Northwestern, since you're here, you're a wildcat, you will always be a wildcat. Northwestern got you, even after college.
Go ahead, Lauren. Nice, low.
Wait. Also,
There's more.
Just no, go ahead.
also, you represent Northwestern, so the end's on you. Like, you represent Northwestern, so you want to hold yourself here, not down here.
Excellent.
That's my sister.
We're royalty.
Round of applause.
Nice,
Love
low. Love it. Love it.
Anyone else have something to add to that fantastic start? Mr.
No, I mean, I don't think any of us in here could have said it better ourselves, but just piggybacking off that, we also represent our teams and our teammates. So if we mess up or we're doing something bad, we're making our whole teams look bad, not only the university, but specific people that mean a lot to us.
Absolutely. All right, so when I hear this concept and when I hear both of you, thank you so much for your participation, starting out strong. All right? First and foremost, one, when you think about this concept, it's that you represent something more than yourself, right? And then two, that you can't pick and choose when you represent this, right? Once a Wildcat, always a Wildcat. You put that N on your chest, it's there for life. Sound good? You all have that base understanding? Okay. Now, you as student athletes at Northwestern, you have this incredible opportunity to not only pursue a degree at one of the most prestigious academic institutions in the country, but you have an opportunity to participate in a sport that I hope you all love, in arguably one of the best conferences in the country, right? As we think about that end never comes off and those opportunities both academically, athletically, and even socially, with great opportunity comes great responsibility. And as Northwestern student athletes, you have an incredible opportunity and incredible responsibility, okay? So you represent more than yourself, more than your teammates. You represent a whole institution of individuals who come before you, your peers, and those who will come after you, right? Okay, so the news today is covered with individuals, student athletes, coaches, and even administrators who've made terrible decisions. Decisions that have torn apart communities, decisions that have negatively impacted individual lives, not only those who've made those decisions, but others as well. Oftentimes, and I've got some of my advisees in the room, shout out to Lauren for her first participation of the night, But one of the things that I say often to my advisees that I work with and students I get to support is please make good life decisions. You've heard me say that before, right? Okay, just want to make sure. All right, as we think about making good life decisions, I very closely relate this to that concept that the end never comes off. What I want to be certain you understand is when we talk about making good life decisions, I don't want you all to think that there's this expectation of perfection. Okay, that's really important to understand. This is a time where you're going to learn from mistakes, you're going to grow, you're going to make poor decisions in college, right? So many of you aren't going to listen to your advisors, or haven't in the past, about putting things in your planner. And that decision has maybe led to you missing a WebAssign or a Spanish lab. Does that happen? Anybody in this room? I know it's like I know there's some of you. But yes, this is going to happen, right? You may not listen to the advice or instructions from a professor or from your coach or even from your parents. You're going to make poor decisions, and you're going to have people that are here to help and support you. But what's really important, and when I say that idea of making good life decisions, it is critical that you understand that you do not make, that there's an expectation that you're not making those bad life decisions. Those bad life decisions that are resulting in headlines, that are ending careers of student athletes, of coaches, and of administrators. Okay, so when we talk about making good life decisions, it's not, again, an emphasis on perfection, but it's about avoiding those bad life decisions. Again, those are decisions that change the trajectory of your lives, potentially the lives of others, and again, can tear apart communities. Now, let's see here. Northwestern is absolutely one of the most well-respected institutions in the country. I absolutely recognize my bias. I think this is the greatest institution and the greatest department in the entire U.S. But we have coaches, we have student athletes, and we even have administrators that are serving on national positions. And they come back and they hear from their peers, so other coaches, other student athletes, other administrators, about the reputation of Northwestern, about how great it is, how great of a place it is to work, how great it is to experience this world-class experience that we all promise, right? Now, that is a reflection of that end, and why that end is so incredibly important. Because what that end represents is that it represents all of you. It represents the individuals in this room, and again, those who came before you and those that will follow. You all are the best and brightest student athletes in the country, and you're here for a reason. You have this incredible opportunity, and we want you to take advantage of it. We want you to be proud of that end. We want you to make good decisions, good life decisions, while you wear that end. Okay? Let me see, let me look at my notes, make sure I'm not missing anything. Now, as you think about that end and what it represents, I want to make sure that you remember what that expectation is. That expectation is to treat people with respect, to be kind, to be inclusive. Remember that no matter where you are and what you're doing, that end never comes off. It doesn't come off when you step off the playing field or out of the classroom. That follows you everywhere that you go. In your social environments, our expectation is that you're always making an effort to do the right thing. Really important that you always make that effort to do the right thing. And with that being said, as a Division I student athlete at Northwestern, you're not only under a microscope, but you also have a lot of expectations, and we know that that is not easy. And that is why we're here today. That is why we're talking about the resources that are available to support you. To support you as you make good decisions, as you make good life decisions, and also to support you when perhaps you're impacted by others that are not making good life decisions. Okay? I think it's really important. I want to make sure you heard that last part. It's not only an expectation that you are making good decisions, good life decisions, that you're using your resources in order to do that. But if you are impacted by someone who has made a bad life decision, you have support. You have individuals not only within this department, but are on campus that are here and willing to support you. So, be proud of the end as it represents all of you and the best and bright students in the country. Be proud of who you are. You've worked really hard to get here, and I can tell you that we are really proud of the work that you've done since you've been here. All right, so let's give yourselves a round of applause. Now, we're going to spend some time diving walk you through those. Remember those 3 asks. Be respectful, participate. What was the last one? Not very good at that energy part yet, but we'll get there by the end of the program, all right? So welcome to Alicia.
Before we jump into these case studies, the first resource I do want to highlight is Maria herself. So you can see kind of from the slide here, she's got the longest title that I've ever seen in my entire life. But the last piece here is diversity and communication. It is Maria's job in this athletic department to make sure that it's a place that you all feel welcomed and supported. So in the event that you aren't ever feeling that, this is the person who can help to create that here. So make sure you know that face and you know that person. But all right, we're going to jump into case studies. This is how it's going to roll. We're going to do a case study. We'll read them out loud. 1 to 2 minute quick conversation with the people around you. Come back together and we'll hear about an appropriate resource that's typically in line with that case study. Sound good? All right. The first one, I'll read it. It's kind of long. The next one's I'm going to ask for some volunteers. So, shortly after a presidential candidate referred to derogatory comments he made about women as locker room talk, a group of male student athletes got together and decided they wanted to make a public statement in the form of a picture that was taken in their locker room. They wanted the picture to be of them holding a sign saying, "Not in our locker room," that they would post it on social media. This group of students went to their coach to inform them of the stance. The coach discussed it with the team and the team sport communication representative. So the question for you all, talk to the person next to you, was this an appropriate way for a student to make the statement? What do you think, Chad? Alright, give me a thumbs up or a thumbs down. What do we think? Alright, everyone's up? What do we think? Thumbs up, thumbs down. Let me see the thumbs. Alright, I see a lot of thumbs up. I see a thumbs down. Thumbs up! This is a good way to make a statement. The individual had a stance on something. They went to their coach. They talked about it. They talked about it with their teammates. They went to their communications representative because they're the individuals that are going to help with their social media. This is how you can go about this. So one of the things that we want to strive is that you guys have a platform here and you can use your platform. What we ask in how you use your platform is remember who's beside you. So when you want to make a stance, we do ask that you talk to your coaches and you talk to your teammates and your communication rep. Not so that you are censored in any way, but so that you understand what you're taking a stance on. And that so you understand the education behind what you're taking a stance on. Because of your elevated platform that you have, society could give you some kind of backlash that you haven't got before. So we want to make sure you're supported and prepared for that as well. And more importantly, words speak a lot louder when you got a lot more people behind you. So things can go farther when you have people with you. Does that make sense? So the campus resource, we are lucky to have Rob Brown here with us. He's the Director of Social Justice Education. Has anybody heard of that before? SJE? Another acronym for you to learn? So I'm going to bring him up. He's going to talk quickly about his office and how he can support you guys. So you want to help me welcome?
Thank you so much. Good evening, everyone. So my name is Rob Brown. My gender pronouns are he, him, and his. And I get to engage students in dialogue about issues of diversity and social justice all over campus. Who in here has been to Engage? You've gone to Engage. Awesome. Awesome. What did you talk about? What did you talk about at Engage? I know. Now you're like, oh, sorry. Go ahead.
We talked about like different terms you hear on campus that may bother people or may not bother other people, or just like how that affects people.
Yeah. Like language, inclusive, right, or problematic. What else? What else do you all do to Engage? I saw your hand really. Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, we talked about, like she said, like words of inclusion that will better represent people and how to talk about this in a proper way.
Yeah. So one of the things that we try to do is build capacity on campus for you all to actually engage effectively. So that presidential candidate on the last screen has sparked a lot of challenging discourse, right, in our country. And I think that's created a lot of fear about having complex conversations. So one of the things we know is that if we're not talking about it, the issues tend to fester, and so we have to find ways to actually engage effectively. So that's often what we do in our work, most primarily with you all through Engage, which I would strongly encourage you all to attend. Sometimes we talk about topics more broadly. Other times it's more focused topics around current events that are happening and kind of tie the connections between social justice and athletics. So strongly encourage you all to attend. Beyond that, we have a series of other programming through our office, through Multicultural Student Affairs as well, that I would love to see you all participate in. One group that I will plug that I work directly with is called The Collective, which is a program actually developed by former football players, football student athletes, and it's a group where men of color come together once a month to talk about their experience here on this campus. Our next session is February 18th. It's on a Sunday. Most people are free. We feed you. And this month's topic is around mental health. So we'd love to see some of you all there. We have other popular programs like Sustained Dialogue, where you kind of get to put into a cohort with 10 of your peers on campus to talk about a variety of social justice issues, probably our most popular program. So we would love to see you all participate and engage with us. Am I also doing MSA?
You can do it right now. We
I
got a
can do
little
it
bit
later.
later.
Yeah, I'll be
You
back.
can come
I'll be
later.
back. Get excited, there's more.
So the other, these faces look familiar as well. They're communications representatives. You guys have seen these around your teams. So these are the people that write your write-ups. These are the people who do your social media. If you don't know who these people are, they pretty much work around the clock to make sure that you are looking good. So those are good people to thank every year, every now and again. The next case study we're going to jump into is a recent incident at Cornell University. The entire men's lacrosse team was suspended for their season, including all exhibition games, when they were found guilty of hazing first-year team members. It was found that the first-year members were expected to spend a large amount of time with the other members in both lacrosse-related and social situations planned by upper-class members of the team. This included a team party where there was a keg race that included just the first-year teammates. So I think you probably know all of this question. The upper-class members of the team are asking all first-year members to do this keg race. Is this hazing? Talk to the prisoners. What do you think? Why do you think? Yeah.
Because they're probably making them do something that they don't want to do in the first place.
Okay. And then thumbs down. We are the counter to this. We'll go Jordan.
Well, the question says they're asking. So me, I'm a smart person. I'm just going, nah, I'm good. So that's not it.
Yeah, they're not making
asking.
Sorry to interrupt.
Talk about why. So I know you guys want to read this all the way through, but this is the actual definition of hazing. I'm not going to read it out loud, but the important piece of it here, intentional or unintentional. So a lot of what hazing is about is intent versus impact. So these upperclassmen, they asked individuals to participate. They asked all first-year individuals. But whether intended or not, they were creating an environment that could be emotional discomfort for someone, which is considered hazing. So it's kind of like that whole, maybe you've heard of this before, if I walk by Maria and I accidentally step on her foot, I didn't mean to step on her foot, it doesn't matter how much I didn't intend to step on her foot still hurts, and it's still impacted by my actions. So it's a little tricky, hazing is sometimes tricky for sure, but the important piece is that intent impact. But lucky for you, there's lots of resources available. The first being about reporting. So if you guys are ever feeling as though, I know I heard a couple things about rites of passage, this and that. It's not a rite of passage. It's not okay. If you're ever feeling like you're in a situation where you are isolated and asked to do something where you shouldn't be, that's something you want to tell us. Or it's something you guys want to report. Can I have your attention, please? There's a way that you can report it. You can always come to us. I want to believe wholeheartedly that nobody is ever intending to haze and cause disharm to someone. So more often than not, it is unintentional. So usually a conversation can happen and it can get corrected. But if you don't feel like you're comfortable coming forward, then there's ways that you can report online anonymously about what is happening to you. The other piece here is the hazing prevention website. So eventually you're going to be upperclassmen and you're going to have underclassmen. So if you are concerned at all about creating an environment that is uncomfortable for some of your first year students, then there's resources on here of ways that you can do team events and you can do things with your team that isn't considered hazing. Because hazing is a Class A misdemeanor. It's one step below a felony. It's not fun to have to deal with that. So definitely use your resources when that time comes. Does that make sense? Any questions kind of about that unintentional, intentional piece? Always just err on the side. All right. Next case study. You're a black student sitting in a history class learning about the civil rights movement. The professor asks you to stand up and says to you, as a black person, please tell the class how the civil rights movement has affected you. Question here. Was this appropriate? All right. So thumbs down, thumbs up? Thumbs down. So why? Correct. Why was that not appropriate? Volunteers? No? Ernest? Yeah?
You asked why wasn't it inappropriate?
Yeah, why wasn't it inappropriate? Why was it inappropriate?
Because like they're assuming that we would know because we're black, and that's pretty messed up.
Yeah. It's a situation where the professor is asking, good job. The professor is calling out someone's race specifically and asking them to stand up and speak on behalf of that. That's not okay. Part of the campus resource here, well, I'll go back to the reporting. The same way with hazing, you can report these kind of things online if they're happening to you. So you are navigating college, there's lots of ways to there's lots of difficulties that will come with navigating college. Some of it might be encountering an ignorant professor and how you're navigating that, or a teammate that's not hearing you right. So that's another area in which you want to come talk to us. You want to report it to the university, and you just want to make sure that we're doing everything we can to try to create an environment that's welcoming and supportive for everyone. And I'm not saying the black student necessarily has to report it. If you're a white student sitting in that class, you should probably say something too if you're feeling like that individual was put in an uncomfortable situation. So it kind of goes both ways here. But yeah. Jump back in here, Rob, multicultural student fair.
Yeah. And I'm back, second hand. All right, that was so sad. Oh. All right, so multicultural student affairs, another office I work closely with. Let's see, who has been to the Black House? Awesome, one in the back. Got 2, 3, 4, awesome. What is the Black House? How would you describe it? What is it? Anybody? Go ahead.
Well, they had free food one time.
Yes, always. Okay, thank you for stopping by. Yes. Often, for the space for free food. What else is in the Black House? Free printing. Yes, resources. Also people, community, connections, right? Stop by. It's on Sheridan. No, it's like literally, it's a house. You can hang out, study. Typically every night there's some type of free food, typically not campus food, which is always helpful. This is a place for primarily black students, right? It's a black house to build community, but also all students here on campus. to connect. Two other spaces within Multicultural Student Affairs. Has anyone been to the Multicultural Center or the MCC? Also located on Sheridan. So it's right down the street. So that's where their formal offices are, where these wonderful people work. And then there's a third space on the top floor of Norris, the Gender and Sexuality Resource Center, which has kind of some study space, a resource library, and just a space to build community focused on LGBTQ students. And so through their work, they do a lot of programming, particularly for students of color and or LGBTQ students. What starts this week?
Black History Month.
Yes. And these folks are doing, yes. Who's going to see Black Panther? Yes. Hey, I see your outfits last night, amazing. So they actually are doing a free film screening for Black Panther, I think on the 16th. But if you go to their website, type in MSA Northwestern, it'll come up. You'll find the Black History Month calendar. They do a lot of programming, obviously in February, but also all year long, that you all should connect to and get involved with. Amazing resource for our campus.
Jack is a member of our Engage Executive Board. So all of our groups, which we'll talk about today too, Engage, SAC, Purple, we'll go over those acronyms, are run by students. He is one of the individuals that helps run this program. So I'm going to turn it over to him. He's going to tell you a little bit more about it and how you can get involved.
Yeah, so I've been on the Engage Exec Board for about 2 years at this point. Engage is a student-run initiative on campus that just works to promote diversity and inclusion through intentional dialogue. So essentially we come together every month and just talk about certain issues that the exec board decides are relevant or important to discuss. Our next workshop is February 15th and we have another one on March 12th, so you guys should come, even if you guys don't know what it's about, just come. And there's free food, so that's great. Yeah, and actually through Engage we have Athlete Alliance, which is an LGBTQ focused initiative that's kind of focused towards athletes and staff. We have quarterly programming, I think, and when's our next one? Do we have a date yet? Okay, yeah, our next thing is Reading Week. It's probably going to be smaller, just focused on community and providing a stress-free space during Reading Week, so also check that out.
Who's on exec? Just so other people can know.
I'm on exec, Robbie White on soccer, Ella Lombard on fencing, and Justin Jackson. So.
Northwestern Athlete Alliance was actually started by students, individuals who graduated last year and Jack. So just kind of another way that we see something that's missing in this population and we work to have a conversation about how to make that organized. But last year we did coaches versus staff LGBT kickball game, and it was the most competitive kickball game I've ever seen. So come out for that next year. Come out for that this spring. All right. The students won by a very questionable call. Okay, a friend of yours has experienced how unhappy they have expressed how unhappy they've been lately. You know that their parents are recently divorced and they are the oldest of 4 siblings. Your friend hasn't been eating much and has been isolating themselves in their dorm room, and they have been skipping class. What would you do if you noticed this? So we're going to talk quickly about this with the people next to you, and then we'll have 2 people come back. If this was a friend of yours and you were noticing this, talk about how you might approach your friend.
should just reach out to them and tell them that you're there.
Awesome, yeah. Yeah, for sure. That's a lot. I'm sure they were probably feeling very alone, so just telling them, you know, I'm here for you, it's gonna go a really long way. Absolutely. So, as you guys know, this is probably the one that you're probably, I would say, the most familiar with is CAPS, Counseling and Psychological Services. So these are the faces of CAPS. I do want to make a point that these are sports psychologists, but at the same time, if you aren't wanting these guys and you want somebody who's separated a little bit from the athletic department, you can always ask for somebody else, and you don't have to necessarily go to these people. So you have more than one option here. But because a lot of this you guys already know, you can email them directly to schedule an appointment. Walk-in hours seem to be better. Around campus at different locations, they also have just like a Let's Talk, like a drop-in. One is at the Black House. I think they have another one at the library in the international office. So lots of ways that you can kind of go and talk to someone convenient. A couple things, some of you may have heard of this too, resilience and recovery. So if you are experiencing an injury, or you have something kind of nagging and it's been bothering you for a while, this is a group run by CAPS and Sports Medicine to kind of come together, talk to each other, vent about it, talk about how you can talk to your teammates or work with medical staff or communicate with your coaches. So it's a good space. They also have food. If you notice the theme here, all the resources are trying to get you there with food, so you'll likely be fed anywhere you go. But this is a good resource. The next one's February 20th at 5 o'clock. And then another one coming in the spring. So last night we actually did a workshop about fueling and training for aesthetics versus performance, and this went hand in hand with that. I know a few of you were there, so we talked about this. But in the spring we'll be doing a workshop series that's centered around body shape, body image, and concerns about eating and how it's affecting their self-esteem. So you guys, for the first time, or not the first time, but to another level, are fueling and training differently than you ever have before, and it's going to take effect on your body, for sure. So this is another outlet that you guys can kind of go talk about this if it is kind of having a work effect. The other resource that we have is right in your athletics department. So we have our Purple Peer Mentor program. So we have Jason at 3